mechanics. Mechanics.
And welcome.
Woo! Let's get ready to rumble! Here we go.
Every time. Every
We
time.
got two goofballs sitting together, and then I'm all alone.
Welcome to One Stop Co-op Shop. The co-op chat. This is our live chat. And yes, we are talking beforehand, and the timer goes down, and when the timer hits 0, it automatically transitions. So I'm like,
I never
5
look
seconds
at
and
the
Bairnt
timer.
is going.
Never look at the timer. I just yeah.
Oh, it makes it fun. But welcome. So this is our live chat. Today's topic was suggested by one of our community members, Canje. So welcome. I see Dirty Dancers on here. We got G Golly. I see Jan. Welcome, Jan. Snow. Marcel. Welcome, Marcel. We got lots of people. And a lot of people already chatting about it, which is great.
Yeah.
Yes. I found out what the topic was about a minute and a half ago, so I'm good to go. We're sitting there chatting off.
You gotta get it. You're gonna lead this.
Yeah, nobody was talking about what we're gonna talk about. So finally, with like as soon as he kind of starts the timer, I'm like, okay, so just out of curiosity, when that timer hits 0, what are we talking about today? It's like, oh, maddening mechanics. I'm like, oh, okay. Because you could have looked at the banner. I could have looked at the banner that said, here's what we're doing. It's good to see everybody.
But yeah, so we're talking about mechanics that we use the word maddening mechanics, but that's more of a alliteration. It's just like mechanics that you don't like in games. When you're playing games that you see that come up, you're like, do not want. Let's maybe even want to go play a different game. So, what happened to your plan, Bairnt? Marcel says.
My plan went out the window. Out the window. My plan was, well, I guess I could. My plan could have been to be surprised at what the topic was.
Jan, you're fine, Bairnt. Since when would a chat go on topic anyway? It's true.
Yeah, it's true.
Exactly.
It's true.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
Audio's too low compared to Bairnt. It is low. Let me fix that.
Oh, so now my big mouth not keeping the spike in the audio, huh?
That's
your big nose
right.
dropped the audio, I think.
Big nose. Not making the audio. Love it.
Last night, when we were playing Marvel United, Steve was like, "Hey, Derek, can you slide the mic away from you a little bit, please?" In other words, you're being too loud. Shut up.
There we go. Thanks, Ken. Appreciate that. That should be better now. Volume levels. Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, yeah, mechanics that kind of rub you the wrong way or whatever you don't like in games. So, I guess I will start with one of them.
Okay.
And this is a very specific instance. And I love deck builders. Really enjoyed the mechanic. One thing I dislike is when I'm playing a deck builder game, it's all about the engine. And so when the game itself injects cards I do not want, not necessarily negative cards, but cards that, like, I want to choose what cards I put in the deck. Don't force me to put cards in my deck. That's one that just drives me nuts. It happens a little bit in Marvel Legendary, which I enjoy a lot, but it's a little enough where it's not a big deal. But like, there's another game that, sorry, Mike. Here's a Tennifer. I know he likes that one, but this one, yeah, no, that's like the whole game for me is. Here's all these cards in your deck. I'm like, but I don't want any of these cards. Like, give me some more decisions to pick what I want to put in and what I don't. So that's a big one that just bothers me a lot.
Okay, all right. I'll go next. No talking mechanics. So, for example, Steve telling me to be quiet. No, for example,
I'm trying not to talk right now. So yes.
No talking mechanics. For example,
Bairnt's losing it.
I didn't even think there could be a mechanic. Oh my gosh, that's the worst.
But it is. Gloomhaven is a perfect example of a no talking mechanic.
Yeah, I don't like that. That's true.
You can't say. You could say, well, I'll go sort of early, maybe quarter. Listen, I'm going on 32. It's like it's. I don't like the thing of. I can tell you. I can basically circumvent it by telling you kind of when I'm gonna go without going. So what's the point of it?
Yeah.
So the don't talk mechanic of Gloomhaven, I don't like. I think it's silly. You get better strategy, and more collaboration when you can really talk to each other and it builds that co-op stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's what I meant by it, even though it was a really great segue.
Oh my gosh,
Matt
that
has one
was
for you
so
already.
good.
It says, I thought Derek and Bairnt would just have a list with rolling dice 10 times.
Okay, so before we started, Matt, and hey, Matt, so before we started, I told Steve, I was like, any game with dice and any game with cards.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
So, Bairnt, what you got? What you got?
So far, I don't mind the not talking one. That's not a bad one. It's sticking to Steve's like deck building deal. When you're creating like your engine for your deck building game, and there's no culling of cards, like they don't have that mechanic in the game. I need that mechanic. That's when you're doing deck builders. For example, what is it? I have it here. Hogwarts one. Harry Potter deck building game is very little of it. I mean, the reason I don't like it is unless it's like part of what you're trying to go for. But if you're trying to go for that in a deck building game, I think it's gonna, unless you have something that circumvents the reason why you don't want to cull cards, it's gonna be tough to really get things going. I just hate so many times. So actually, it's probably going to bring me to another one. Games that pretty much give you a dead turn. I'm not a big fan of a dead turn. Which sometimes is things that happen to me anyway. Games with wood, cardboard, plastic, or what?
Paper.
I'm sitting here laughing at that, trying not to interrupt Bairnt, and I'm just like, it's hilarious.
Nice job, Matt. Nice.
You see awesome. Dan's one above that?
I would say that. And just to rebound through Gloomhaven. The one thing I don't like, because I do a lot of dungeon crawling, is not being able to like share resources, which happens in Gloomhaven. It also happens in other games as well. I
that's
don't
a good
like
one.
the ability of not being able to share resources. I think that's huge, especially when you're doing things like dungeon crawlers or things of that nature. It's like, that's my 10,000 gold.
Yeah, what do you got?
But I need a new sword, or our guys are all going to die. Don't care.
What do you got, Steve?
That's a good one.
What's your next one?
Another one that drives me nuts is a little bit of the secret goals type stuff. And this gets a little bit towards not talking, but it's more for the point of playing games. And the specific instance I can think of is Dead of Winter.
And Gloomhaven.
Gloomhaven doesn't...
It has secret goals.
It does, but not in the same sense, because the problem with the one I'm talking about specifically is in Dead of Winter, you have a secret goal, but there's also a overall goal. And in order to win the game, you have to win your secret goal and the overall goal.
Oh, gotcha.
And so, if at some point in the game, you can't do your secret goal, what incentive do I have to contribute to the overall goal? Because you've already lost, right? Like, it has fundamentally breaks down, like, yeah, it's against the spirit of the game, but, like, why? Why is that even a thing?
Yeah.
Just Nemesis is similar to that.
That's fair.
Nemesis is very similar to that.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Because in Nemesis, you have your own personal goal, and then, of course, your goal is also to not die.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, well, I'm supposed to, I don't know, do something, and all of a sudden that, like, room is on fire and it's malfunctioning. You're like, I have to send the signal. It's on fire and it's malfunctioning. That's awesome. Well, screw you guys. You're all going down to flames. I'm going to go fix the engines.
I was the traitor all along. Like, we're not playing with traitors. So for me, so I went looking this up to get some, and then other stuff came to my mind. So the last one on the list from the thing that I saw, and then I have two others, is too much text on cards for things to do. So and I agree with it. Like, if you have a case in point is I'm not saying that this is a bad game, but it does suffer from this heavily, is Dungeon Universalis. The amount of text on a card is insane. Like, it's
how about unreadable text? Let's just go with unreadable text.
It's so much.
I hate text where you have to physically take your phone, turn on your camera app, and zoom in on the card. Don't tell me you haven't done it, because we all have.
It's
when just yesterday it did it. I was playing. What game was I playing? I was playing something over at Colin's house. It was Project Elite, and I couldn't read the bottom of the card, and I was like, "What is that?" I had to zoom in on the card to be able to read what it said at the bottom.
Well, that's even worse, because it's a real-time game, so like you can't like stop the
It was
game.
like when I got an item and I was like, how exactly does this item work? It's like, it says like, oh, and there's like big print about the name of the items, like, blah, and it's like got two finger holding place.
Yeah. Yeah, the text
I'm
on
like, what?
cards falls, yeah, and too much text on cards falls in the category of what Matt said as well, where they try to get, we're gonna really get thematic with this, and the text is unlegible, like it's illegible, you can't read it because it's written in this weird scribbled script. I've run into cards where I've been like, is that a U? So,
yeah.
but too much text on cards where the entire card is filled with text. Was there not a way to simplify this or get something to where it would, that much text is not needed on a playing card? Walls of text, yeah. That's my second one. What you got, Bairnt?
Nick has an interesting thing here because we are kind of muddling two things together. It says most of these seem like design problems, not necessarily mechanics themselves.
No, the mechanic of no talking is a mechanic. So that is a mechanic of the game. The too much walls on text could be a design problem, but it could be a mechanic problem, because what if that text tells what this creature can do and how it interacts with the environment, and you have to read through it. So it's not explaining it's explaining a mechanic, but it's so filled out, right? That could be a problem.
Yeah, and Marcelo's got the good point here too. Too
Yep,
many
that's the
icons
next
require
thing.
constant rulebook checking, right? Because
Yep.
icons, you can do them right where they're intuitive, they feed off each other, but most of the time it's not the case.
Yeah.
And the problem is you have this learning situation where you have to learn with icons in the first place, which you need text associated with it is the best way of doing it. And when it comes to board games, a board game generally isn't a game you're gonna be playing a lot all the time, so you need to always relearn it. So long story short, icons are great. They can supplement text, but you always have to have text for board games. In my opinion.
Okay, you ready for another one?
Yeah.
Okay, you're dungeon crawling. Imagine this: everything's going great, and you kill the bad guy, and he gives you a potion, and you get your potion token. You're like, oh, I got a potion token. And you put it down. And you're like, what's potion do? And you flip it over, and there's just dead space on the other side of the token. Couldn't you have said like potion heals 5 hit points or something? Like, tell me what that does on the other side of the token.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That drives me nuts sometimes when I look at like dungeon crawlers again, and they have like, first off, they like poop tokens out all over the board anyway and all over the place. And then you look at these tokens and you don't know what they do. It's like, oh, okay, now you take the crazed status. I'm like, crazed status. Why can't it just say crazed on it somewhere instead of just showing me a like icon of some guy?
Symbol, yeah. Yeah.
Right? I mean, would
Yeah.
be a little bit better to just say crazed, and then on the backside say can't take your next action. Oh, okay, good. I know what that does. I don't got it. Like somebody saying with all the icons, you don't have to go back to that rule book to look at all these things. I mean, sure, it's nice to have cool looking pictures on things and stuff like that, but it would be a little bit better if it actually said what it did on the other side, if they had the real estate to do that. Some don't. Some double side their tokens, which also could be kind of maddening, because then all of a sudden you look down after like you bang the table. It's like, oh, I'm not crazed anymore. Now I'm blessed. That's fantastic. Super cool. These guys are going down.
What do you got?
This was mentioned in the chat earlier, or earlier on, honestly, too. But honestly, just take that stuff. Generally, just not rub me the right way.
Take that.
Take that. Yep. Where like I'm going to backstab you. I just like it when people can tear down what I've built up. Generally, especially like out of nowhere too. If you're not careful, like anything, and this is more why competitive games don't always go great for me.
Okay.
I like competitive games that have interaction, but they're not going to destroy my stuff generally. There's an exception to that too. Like, for example, where you can nuke another city, that is horrible. But in that game, nukes only come into play at the very end of the game, so the game's going to end anyway. So that lets me. I'm okay with that one a little bit, but generally that's a bad one.
Wait a minute. Okay, so what's big bad what?
Big bad resets if it has nothing to do with them or like a skill of the baddie. Oh, I killed you. Just kidding. Start over. Oh, that's a good. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
What?
Cam? So I think I understand what you're getting at. Where like,
Yeah, dude, I'm like, what?
let's say you roll a bunch of dice. You roll like 10 hits, and the enemy has 5 health, so you kill him. Yes. Oh wait, but they have this illusion spell. You roll the dice. Oh, just kidding, you missed.
Okay. If it's not a mechanic that's built in to like create the story around what you're doing, instead it's just a random element basically there to prolong the game or make it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
Instead of just having something else.
For me, it's games that if you are not a min-maxer, you will not be successful.
Yeah.
I have one game in mind, but
I've never played any of those games. I've never played any of those games because I'm always successful and I don't min-max.
You min-max, which is why you are successful and you just won't admit it.
Nope.
I think
you
that's
look
the
all
thing.
my guys in almost all my games, and a lot of people go like, "Why are you having that?"
I think you are good at min-maxing. You just don't realize it. From someone who is horrible at it, you are good at min-maxing. I've seen some of the stuff you've done. You pick really well. But for me, I am not a min-maxer because I don't want to read ahead and look at these different things so I can be like, okay, let me line out this thing. I just want to play the damn game. And then as I play it, I'm like, this is cool. Play it. Okay, this is cool. I'm going to play that and then go with it, right? A min-maxer are people who do... Can you read? A min-maxers are people who like... A perfect example of that is Arkham Horror LCG. I love Arkham Horror, but if you are not a min-maxer, which is the key part of it, you will tank every time. Like, this is why I asked Kate, who is a min-maxer, to build decks for me when I play the game, because I'm not good at it. I'm not good at saying this card gels with this card, which will synergize with this card, and then I'll have like 30 odd playthroughs. So it doesn't, I don't mind min-maxing in games. It's games that if you don't, you will lose. I don't like.
Do you want to know a secret, Canje?
If you say get good, I'm gonna leave.
Get good. That would be awesome. Dang it, that's totally what I should have said. I did not build my Arkham Horror decks either. Kate did build one of them, and so did who was the other person that built it? Dang it, I can't believe I forgot his name. I had two people build decks for me.
Was it Yogi? Yogi usually builds as well.
Might have been. I'm
the reason why, but that's the thing. Yeah. It doesn't. Yeah, I do wish LCG were more friendly to casual play.
Exactly.
Yeah, I do. Yep. I love Arkham Horror, and I love games that are like that. It's just I don't play them as often because I'm not a min-maxer.
I think Marvel Champions is your LCG that's probably a little bit more.
Yeah, because they come predefined. Yeah.
For not min-maxing, but
though that was the example that Kim mentioned earlier about the enemies kill a baggy and they come back to life type thing, which
for stage 1, stage 2,
exactly for champions. It's like, oh well, I killed him, right? No, just kidding.
There's I mean, the one game that I culled from my collection because of it was Madara.
Oh, you should see my characters, man. They are an absolute train wreck.
I guarantee if your characters probably have a really good... like I said, I think you are a min-maxer. You just don't... You don't know it because you've played Dungeon Crawler so well that you see the synergies, that even if you're like, okay, I'm going to grab this and play it, you know it's going to do well.
Well, if that's the case, I do it by accident. And I also... One thing I don't do is I don't look... Like you're saying, some people when they got Madara had already said like, "Oh, my guy's level 20 is going to have this."
Yeah, I'm not that.
Like, nope, I'm not either. I don't even look at the next cards until I get the experience for it. I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's see now I get level 5 cards or level 3 cards. Let's see what they are," because I don't look at it because I don't want that kind of stuff spoiled. But technically, you shouldn't. You could look at them because you're going to know what those are. After all, these kids went to school to learn this stuff, right? You think they'd learn what their skills could do if they get bigger, but I don't know. I guess that is a very min-maxy type game. I would say, no, there's too much luck involved in Kingdom Death to make it a min-max game.
That's not a bit that leads into my next one.
Do it.
Oh boy.
Do it.
My next one is games that punish you for the sake of punishment. So it's like, I'm just going to beat you down. Like, those games I don't like.
I think it's okay in the right setting, like Robinson Crusoe.
that's a game that beats you down for the case of beating you down.
It does, absolutely. But I think it's fine because of the theme.
The theme is you're stranded on an island,
Yes.
but all of a sudden there's like terrible things
Yes.
constantly happening to you. I think that's the reason Robinson Crusoe was my example of games that beat you up for the sake of beating you up.
Exactly.
But that's how I see it, Ryan, where he says punishment that can't be mitigated. Robinson Crusoe is a game where punishment can't be mitigated.
That I disagree with, but okay.
What?
I do too.
What?
You can always put down 2 workers to not draw the card.
Yeah, which then cause another cascade over here. So that's the thing. It's not mitigatable because there's never a chance in Robinson Crusoe where you can say, I can do this and I can be okay for this round. That will never come up in that game.
That happens to me in the game.
You're madness. Then you
Yes.
have the greatest dice rolling ever, and I am the counter to that.
It has to do with the crafting. Because the dice rolls are going to screw you over no matter what. But like, if you build the right situations, for example, like
So min-maxing.
a little bit min-maxing, a little bit.
Okay.
I don't know if it's min-maxing, but like if you know winter's coming, right? Snow's coming. You build the furnace. You could totally discredit all the snow issues, right?
The thing of it though is
So-
that you can build the furnace, but then you draw this one card that says, "Hey, somebody comes in and steals all the stuff that you're going to use to build your furnace," and then you can't build your furnace.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
like the game is just, to me, the game is just beating you down, and I think I like Robinson Crusoe. I have it all. I like it, but other games that have done that, I've found that I get rid of. I think Robinson
Marcel
Crusoe,
has a good
because of
point
the
here. He
theme,
says that-
is why I keep it, but there are other games that do it, and I end up leaving that.
Marcel says try playing Order of the Vampire Hunter and get slaughtered almost every time.
yeah.
Because I've been seeing these posts of him playing it and it looks really good and I wish I would have backed it.
Yeah.
That's one of the mechanics I don't like, is not backing a game and wishing you did.
FOMO. The FOMO mechanic.
That's another mechanic I'm not a big fan of. Wishing you would have backed the game
Yeah,
because
Frostpunk
after it
is
came out,
another
it's
one.
good.
I kept Frostpunk.
Mhm.
I kept Frostpunk. But I think that's where Steve is right about when the beat down, for the sake of beating down, when it does work and when it doesn't work. When it's part of the theme of the game, it works. Robinson Crusoe, Frostpunk, this War Mine. The themes lend to it being a dredge. But when it's not, that's not the theme, and it's just beating you down, Madara, it gets difficult. Like Madara suffered from what I call.
How does Madara just beat you down?
Because Madara is what I call. It's what I call. I call it the chase. Is what I call. Personally, the thing that I don't like about Madara, where it's.
Well, there's a lot of.
I struggle. Bad dice roll. Bad dice roll. I struggle. Okay, I've got stuff to where I can, even with bad dice rolls, I can do at least 1 damage to this creature that has 30 health. And then as soon as I get there, it's like, oh no, upgrade the creature immediately. And now I'm back to this struggle. And I think it made me feel beat down to where it's like, all right, if you're not a min-maxer, not a good dice roller, if you don't, if you don't get good, then then you're not. It won't. Then you won't have a good time with this game. And honestly, I love the story, but it wasn't part of the theme, so I ditched it, and somebody wanted it.
I don't get beat down.
Do what?
I don't get beat down in that game.
Do you get
I
back
roll
up again?
well.
I was about to say that.
I don't roll well enough.
You never keep me
Then
down.
I just use all the different mitigation tools I have in my arsenal to do it, which is actually one of the mechanics I like, is mitigation, being able to give yourself a second chance or give yourself a way of redoing something, or not backpedaling, but like being able to. I just like that. So it's just the opposite. I don't know. I've never really gotten beat down.
Oh, Deep Madness. Deep Madness is another one. Oh my god. Deep Madness didn't suffer from beatdown. Deep Madness suffered from bad design. I want Bairnt to play Deep Madness because it's a
Oh my
dungeon
gosh.
crawler.
Let me find, hold on a second. I gotta find my boat because shots are getting fired all over.
I want Bairnt
Oh
to
my
play Deep
goodness.
Madness because Deep Madness suffers from bad design.
Oh wow.
It does. It does. There was one stage where you're laying on it where like so you're and I won't spoil too much, but you are traveling in a sub to an underwater mining facility, and then all of a sudden you get attacked by Cthulhu stuff, right? So you get in there, you are running through trying to survive. The whole theme is monsters are hunting you. You're starting to go crazy because of some orb, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. This one mission, you get into a lab because monsters aren't chasing you, right? You lay down on this table, and then your consciousness gets pulled out, and your consciousness has to walk through the game, the level, to find someone else's consciousness, and then get back to your body. What the hell does that have to do with the game? So,
Wow, that sounds pretty awesome to me. I think that sounds pretty sweet. I do like Dan. Dan says, I hate to break it to you, but dice rolling is not a skill one can possess.
I think I agree with that, but Colin makes me question that because it's something with Colin. He's got the luck, man.
There is so if you're a statistician, then there's no such thing as luck. Probabilities are things that you can collectively like kind of visualize and conceptualize.
Right.
However, there are outliers for even statisticians to realize that there are outliers of people who are going to more often than not roll higher or lower. So I'm in the camp of the lower.
No, you're in the camp of bad. I've got games where like rolling low is good, and you roll high.
So for people who are statisticians who say like there's no such thing as luck, there is probability can be proven for things, and everybody averages out in the end. I want them to run a root cause analysis on me or something. There's something up.
Yeah, I know. Oh man.
I have noticed that for some now the thing is people don't see off-screen stuff that happens. Whenever I play a game with Colin and it has to do with you're controlling the AI enemy, and you can even ask William this as well. This has happened to him many times. When I play games off-screen with people, I roll like the best champ you have ever seen in your entire life. We're talking boxcars after boxcars after boxcars when I control the enemy. And I'm just slaughtering us, bro. Like, so what do I need to not hit you? You need to roll like anything lower than a 5, double 6. He looks at me like, really? You rolled double?
My gosh! Yeah,
I don't know how I do it.
I'm trying to think of to me the games that I found that I didn't like. These are the reasons why, which could be either design or it could be mechanic, right? So I'm hitting in both camps here.
We need to learn to believe.
You don't do that. Yeah, I'm gonna let you down every time. Every time. Oh.
All right, so we've kind of walked around and talked about. We almost kind of just discussed games we don't like more than we've really just said.
Well, I think it's the example, right? I can tell about the. I won't say. I'm not saying like okay, I don't like Madara. I'm saying here are the things I don't like about it.
Right.
But I still think it's a good game.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I know you haven't brought up your stealth issue yet either.
That's the last one. That's the last.
That's the last one. I see. That's
stealth games. Oh, but stealth mechanics don't bother me. It's just I'm not good at dice rolling, so therefore stealth games will always be. I mean, we played Malia.
What about games that don't have dice rolling? Stealth games that don't dice rolling.
Like what?
SAS Rogue Regiment.
It's a war game though. So it's not good. But I don't like war games.
Oh, okay.
So.
I'm kind of on the opposite fence of you guys when it comes to these things because I guess maybe I am a person of brutality. I do like games that beat me down. I don't like that game where it's like, okay, I'll probably always win this because there's not anything that's going to make it super hard that I'm not going to lose to. You know what I mean?
Well, I like a challenge. I like a challenge. I don't like a game where the designer said, if anybody, there's going to be a 1 in 300 chance you win this game. That's different than saying I'm going to make my game that's a little bit tough. That's going to be tough.
Yeah. And so on the flip side, like I like these kind of things, but like you're saying, I don't like something where I draw a card and it just says you're dead.
Yes.
I'm like,
Like
who
our
does
Nemesis play that we had.
Who does that? There's a game that does that, where you actually draw a card that says you're dead.
yeah. Well, then you shouldn't have gotten the alien on you. Obviously, if you have an alien on you, you will die.
You're right. You're right. That was it.
Yeah,
It was you and Pac-Man.
We both had an alien.
And I
on
was
us,
watching
and
it,
just
and
said,
all I
pull the
could
card,
think
you're
of
dead.
the whole
Yes.
time while you guys were playing it was they've got to get that thing off of him. I don't know why they're not dealing with this thing at all. Obviously, an alien on you is
that
a
wasn't so
bad
bad
thing.
because
Oh, you know what? It's okay. I'll just keep this alien inside me.
I thought,
Oh,
one of the
guys,
aliens-
let's go check those afterburners. It'll be great. Oh, I've got to set the coordinates. Don't worry about the thing bubbling up. I tell me we're okay. Everything's gonna be great. Oh, what do you know? I draw a card that says, "Hey, if you got an alien inside you, guess what? You just died."
But there was no way to get it off other than going to the lab, right?
Well, yeah, and you should
And
have.
so we were looking for the lab, but we just never found it.
Well, whose fault was it not to?
Oh,
always
are
be-
you saying get good? Is that what you're saying?
I'm thinking that maybe you should know the game. And know that whenever these things come out, they always come out with a 1. That's given. You know this. So you have to make sure, unless you don't have the lab. So I think a lot of it also comes back to playing the game more. If you only played it once, you have no idea that card's in the deck.
Yeah,
yeah, that's true.
Is the deal.
Yeah.
And actually, to me, I think it's awesome. Now, I think it's awesome because when I play it like 2 players solo. So if one of them does done, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. And now I got the other guy. At least I got a guy left. When you're playing it like you did, it's like, oh, sorry, you're dead. Have fun and sit there and watch. I think that's another one that sucks. Is sit there and watch.
Yeah.
That's the mechanic that sucks.
Yeah, where you're removed from the game. Yeah.
I was actually, when I was playing Conquest Princess, that was one of the things I talked about that I really liked about it. That's a game I just got done playing, so it's something I can relate to. Everybody wins and wins and loses together. There's no, oh, your guy's taking 3 damage. Sorry, he's dead. Sit and watch. And my favorite thing is when they say, like, now actually you can control the bad guys. Like, I don't really want to. That's
Yeah.
But I know they always say that there to make it feel better. You feel better.
Yeah,
So
that's
if you
a
just
good
get
one.
Good, you don't die.
That's a good one you pointed out though, Bairnt. Really, really good call. The ones where players get eliminated and they just are stuck at the table until you're done.
I normally like to house rule those so that if one person dies, we all lose. Honestly, if it works out, it makes sense. That I always employ that. Actually, I do that with like even speaking stealth games. If you sabotage, technically you can keep going, but I like to play leave no man behind. Right, so we all have to make it out, or at least the person who's bleeding out, we have to win before they bleed out. So
we all go home where nobody goes home.
That's right. The one thing I found with a lot of games that do have player elimination is a lot of the times once you hit that, you're in a downward spiral.
Yeah.
Which is kind of good because you know the game's coming to an end. But player elimination with like 1 turn left to whether you win or lose is totally fine.
Correct.
But if you've lost out, if you're like you're saying in Nemesis, all of a sudden that person's dead on like turn 4, you're probably in a downward spiral already because you've lost one of the people that are supposed to help you. Oathsworn is another example that when we've played Oathsworn, if we lose an Oathsworn, if you're not already kind of in going towards victory, if this is still a push and pull to see who's going to win this game, you're probably going, which is fine because I would rather have myself be going downhill. I mean, Oathsworn's a bad example because technically you bring in a companion to take over for you, ally to take over for you, which is, I think, a great solution to player death in that game because you get at least the person still doing something.
Yeah.
What is he doing? Usually going up and poking it with a feather.
Yeah.
Got like this belief that there might be something he's going to be able to do.
That's Lord of the Rings Living Card game does that as well, where like it has player elimination where you hit 50 and you start dollar, you're out, or if you lose all your heroes, you're out. But then what happens is any enemies you were engaged with, dealing with, they all go back to the staging area, which means now everyone has to deal with the same amount of creatures, but you have less people to do it, and so it actually formulates that downward spiral automatically, which is honestly the way to do it. So agreed.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and normally another mechanic I'm not a big fan of is a downward spiral, but in that instance, I think it's a good thing to have in a game because people can kind of see, oh crap, this is how bad it is when I lose a guy. like it becomes really tough. It's really hard to come back from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's I guess a flip side to both, almost a flip side probably to all these if you think about
Yeah.
it.
Go ahead.
I have another one
Go
to
for
talk
it.
about.
Go for it.
Arbitrary timers. So I'm going to suggest one game here, Pandemic, that has arbitrary timer in it. Where I'm playing Pandemic, we're doing really well. I've got like everything eradicated. There's very little cubes on the board, and then the player deck runs out and we lose. But I'm like, but look at the state of everything. It's great. Like, to me, it doesn't make sense. Like, thematically, I don't understand why mechanically you have a timer in there. That's fine. But like, I wish there was something else we can do to interact with that a little bit. So
I think Pandemic is a great example of a brutal timer. I
Yeah.
would say that there's a lot of timers in co-op and solo games because they need them. Otherwise, there's no reason to keep pushing yourself forward if there's other things you can do.
correct.
But yes, the Pandemic timer is pretty brutal.
Yeah.
And that's shit. So I think brutal timers would be more the deal. Most of the time, the timers in co-op solo games are there just to prevent you from basically stagnating yourself.
Correct.
Mm.
Yeah, timers. You do need timers in games for sure. Absolutely. But like, I think there's good ways of implementing them, and like the Pandemic one is one I just don't like. So, how many stealth games have a weird timer? Reichbusters for sure has one. I don't like that one because Reichbusters, the timer is also the alarm. So it's how many rounds you have to complete the mission, and the alarm's gonna go off no matter what. I'm like, well, I don't like that. I mean, it makes a little bit of sense, right? Because if you're in a base, you're around the base doing stuff. Eventually, they're gonna catch on, and you get spotted. If you make too much noise, you run out of time in the game. So it kind of makes sense, but it's not my favorite.
Yeah.
Not my favorite.
Right.
Yeah. Timers are they can go either way for me. It's I like sandbox games because there is no timer. So
Yeah.
so that's one of my draws to sandbox where I can actually just explore the world. So that's why I'm super pumped about Bairnt when he's been doing the League of Dungeoneers stuff where it's just go. The world's your oyster.
Yeah, and I was saying no timer like Snow's here. Like you have 100 win rate, absolutely. It's more like if I eradicate something, maybe I shuffle more cards back into the player deck, right? So then it's not like I did really well. The game should reflect that as opposed to just doesn't matter if you did well. Here's the timer, you're done. Right?
Yeah.
So does Bear need a timer in general? Nice, Dan.
Well played.
Dan, you speak wise words. Lisa, speak. You should hear when I polo. Like we have this we have our polo app that we send each other because we sometimes have rule questions. We can ask each other really quick on the fly.
Really
but I have a tendency
quick.
to just like ramble on the polo, and a lot of times you'll hear my wife in the background going, "You're done. You're done. You've said it twice now. You said everything twice. Nope. Now you're saying it 3 times. Stop. You're done."
Yeah, Mike. Pandemic Liqueur puts dice back in the bag. Yes, I love the Pandemic Liqueur because of that. It is really, really good. So I actually don't have Pandemic more, but I still have Pandemic Liqueur.
Okay.
You haven't played that one?
I've only played Pandemic regular and season 1, and I played Cthulhu Pandemic.
We should do the Cure then, because it's really fast. It's easy.
Okay, we can try that.
So
Is that the on the airplane?
Oh, all that means is you cannot count on me to be successful.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I don't shy away from dice. I just let y'all know up front. You should know better.
Is the Cure? Is that the one on the plane that has different parts
that
of the
is
plane?
First
that's
response or something.
First response or hotspot or something.
The Cure is the one where it's a donut and it's all dice and you got circles around. It's honestly a little bit like United.
I should play that. I love donuts.
So
Okay.
I love donuts.
The Cure is very swingy though. It is. That's for sure.
Oh, it's nice.
They should have more
it's
donuts
nice.
in
It's
board
fast.
games.
Yeah.
So.
Why don't they have more donuts in board games instead of like health potions? You have donuts. I love donuts.
The only one I know that has it is Police Precinct, but that's because the game about police officers and cops. So they have donuts in that one, of course.
That's funny. That's funny.
Wow.
I'm trying to think of if there's. I think I've touched on all the ones that would get me.
There is a design decision that drives me nuts. So it's not a mechanic, but it's the kill all enemies to proceed. I don't mind that happening in games. I dislike it when that's always the thing going on. I'm like, oh, do I have to kill all enemies again and all enemies again? Can I just like get to this spot. Give me something different to do. That drives me nuts.
It's funny you should mention that because I remember listening to the 5 at 5 for Gloomhaven, and they were all negatives.
The
And
five
then at
he
the end, they're
doesn't like
like, "This is
Gloomhaven.
probably my." And then they go, "This is probably the number one game I've played this year." All negatives were those kind of things. It was like, I don't like that I can't share stuff. I don't like that I can't tell them what I'm going. I don't like that. What did you just say?
Have to kill all enemies.
Yeah, kill all enemies, because their
Yeah.
scenarios that were at the time all basically kill all enemies every time, and things of that nature. And it's like it was all these 5 like negative things. I don't know. I don't think you were the one that did. I think it was Peter and Mike.
Yeah.
But it was hilarious because they were all negatives. And then at the end, they're like, "This." But I have to say, this is probably the game of the year for me. I mean, this is one of the greatest games.
Don't say anything good, but it's top. Yeah, I have negatives about Gloomhaven, but it's at its core, it's still a fun game.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of negatives about it, and it's the reason why when it went to digital, it solved a lot of the negatives for me, so I started liking it a lot.
Oh, that could be one you could talk about. About no, never mind. It's not a mechanic. I don't have something.
That actually ties into another thing I dislike. And the reason why I went to digital, is lots of minor modifiers and things you have to remember.
Yes, that's what Gloomhaven made it fun, because I didn't have to remember all that crap.
Sentinels of the Multiverse was that for me. Like, I think the game is really fun. I love the game. In fact, I played it eventually. I was playing it like daily on my phone, just constantly. Loved it. But physically, I couldn't stand it because it was +1 attack. Oh wait, this is -1 to electric damage, and what electric? I get +2 fire damage over here, -1 electric damage over here, and it's like, and then all the like health chips and everything. It just, like, to
Steve
me,
will never
Sentinels
play.
of the Multiverse is the definition of fiddly.
And that's a good.
Oh,
that's a good.
there's way more.
That's
There
I
are
know,
way more.
I know.
that is a
Lot
good
of subs
example.
there.
But that's a good example of mechanics that you don't like, where the modifiers are beyond maintenance.
Right.
Where it's just
Games
like you're
for
gonna have a game
Steve.
of pure mods that you have to keep track of 10 billion things, and it gets hard.
And that's what Snow mentioned here. Why not have a tracker? And I think that's the main thing. Is like you can still have those concepts. You can distill them down, honestly, so they're more meaningful. And just have trackers there. So there's like, I'm not saying remove it from the game, because honestly that is a really nice aspect of the game, but like clean it up is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
You're not going to like a lot of the games I play. Do not play Dungeon Universalis. Do not play League of Dungeoneers. Do not play Folklore. Do not play any of these type of games, because you're getting it. If you, oh my gosh, especially Folklore. Once your guys all kitted out, oh my gosh, you're getting modifiers from four different places. Then of course you have the monsters modifier versus the not versus. Yeah, there's a lot of. I mean, I was actually going to say one thing that can be polarizing for people is bookkeeping, but that's technically not a mechanic. That's more of a design decision. I mean, do you really need all those tables? I mean, to make it a truly, if that's the experience the person is going for, great. But if they want more of a streamlined experience, then you get the idea of like, well, what would have been better if I would have gotten, because you're going to have both ways. You're going to have people on both sides. You're like, it would have been better if I'd have gotten +2 if I was stabbing him in the back. Oh, well, then you have to look at this table and be like, okay, so I'm stabbing in the back, so I get +2. I'm standing on a crate, so I get +1. And it's like, then you get all these new modifiers and all this stuff. Or do you just say, you hit the guy?
So that's not so bad though, because that's what war games do, honestly. They have all these tables to look up because of that stuff to kind of distill it down.
But that fits the genre.
It's a style of game, right? And it's organized in a way that you don't have to remember it. Well, you have to look it up all the time, which is the downside. But at least you don't have to keep track of that stuff. I know Ryan mentioned the Dale deck too, which definitely has a lot of modifiers for sure, but it's not like, to me, it's within my range of like, this is a good number of modifiers. I'm okay with that. Is when you get to modifiers that don't seem to do much. They're not, because to me, when I say the word fiddly is something that is not impactful enough to the game. Like, why am I doing stuff? For example, like when I mentioned like I have lightning damage. Well, they have fire resistance and they don't interact with each other. Why do I have to keep track of lightning versus fire damage? Can it just be damage?
Yeah.
Or can we distill it down so they interact more? They're more meaningful. So then we have maybe elemental damage and physical damage, right? Instead. And so then there's more things that deal with each other. So anyway,
but lightning is
thunder.
Thunder, lightning, and the thunder, right?
You got it.
I'm not good. That's my wife's favorite. One of my wife's favorite groups. I don't actually know that group
I
very
hate
well.
you so much right now.
Why do you hate me, Canje? Stuck in your head now for the rest of the day?
The whole time I'm like, what is he? Oh God.
You loved it. Just a slow roll there.
Yeah, look who you got here. I think it's when the cognitive load of remembering everything outweighs the fun you get.
Yeah.
That's a good summary.
Yeah, that is a good summary.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
do you guys
I mean,
get other ones that just?
I'm trying to. That's the thing. It's like there are games that I didn't enjoy, but I wouldn't say I hate them. There are mechanics that I do not like in games. That gets a lot of airtime, but
Yeah, and I think there's even with these mechanics, there's implementations of them that I still enjoy, like in games.
Mm.
There's always gonna be exceptions, like I really don't like this, but honestly, it's okay in this game. It's fine with me. So,
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like, is there any games that if they had these mechanics in it, you would kind of go, you know what? I'm okay that it's in here because I'm enjoying this game a lot. You know, there's a lot of those games out there.
And I think that's where the theme becomes big. Does it keep lowering it down?
Yeah, it does.
I think that's where the theme becomes big. Like This War of Mine, Robinson Crusoe, Frostpunk. The theme is crushing. Therefore, those things that some of the things I complain about that are in those games don't bother me because it matches the theme.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yep. I can't think of too many. I can't think. Now we've talked about all these mechanics we don't like, but honestly, if you ever put me in front of a game with people, I usually am going to enjoy it.
Yes.
I mean, there's not much that I'm not going to enjoy, and I think a lot of it has to do, like you Can't saying, is theme, people you're playing with, just camaraderie. I think a lot of that, which is what basically board gaming is. It's to get people together and enjoy time together and things of that nature. I know we've talked about that in length at another or another whatever this is, but it's also, there are so many games out there. You should be able to find games that have the mechanics you enjoy and be able to avoid the ones you don't. I mean, but
fair.
Some games are just fantastic, like Madara, and whether you don't use mechanics or not, it's still going to be an amazing experience when you play the game. I mean, that's just how it goes.
I wanted that game to succeed. That's the thing.
I am so sorry, Ken. I didn't mean to bring that up.
No. I think for me personally, for Madara, I think it's a successful game. I think the devs who made it, Brooklyn and team, did a fantastic job of creating a really great dungeon crawling experience with beautiful visuals and a heavy manga theme. There were just some things in it that just didn't for me. So therefore, it's like I really want to love this, but I can't.
Yeah, you have to weigh that. Is it worth me playing in a mechanic I'm not a fan of versus because the game is super cool? And that's like we're just talking. It's like you got to find one
exactly.
And I think Bairnt, you kind of nailed it down too, where like some of these mechanics might shy me away from pursuing to own the game and purchase it for myself, but it won't shy me away from playing it with others. And then even honestly, like you said, enjoying it for sure. And maybe after trying it and enjoying it with others, maybe I even go out and purchase it anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not like this stuff is a deal breaker. It's just that I might not initially go purchase it on a whim. So,
like for example, if Colin has everything that has to do with Cthulhu Death May Die, I don't ever have to buy that game. He's got it. And you know what? I'm so happy he owns it because if I play the game with him, I will never own that game. It's just not my deal. I'm not. I think maybe one of the mechanics I don't like in that game is the fact that there isn't anything past the mission you're playing. It's a one and done. And I for a game like that, where I have like this investigator I'm like invested in for that game, all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'm done. Now I can just put it away and never have to see this guy again. Like, but I kind of wish there was something that made me want to come back to that investigator. So, and that's just me. I feel like that game could have had a really cool like campaign type system built to it, but they didn't. Even if it's a restart. I mean, that, which is a mechanic I don't mind, is a restart. Where like for example, not that game. What game is it? There's some games out there that have like a loosely tied campaign, but you kind of still start from scratch with your characters. And it kind of gives you like a lot of fun to be able to think of like kind of that's how it works. I don't know. I'm just babbling. Steve, finish it.
I think I have a mechanic. I have a mechanic that is a great
You
closeout
do?
mechanic that I'm
When
going to
my
make
car's
everybody
broken,
hate
I
me.
think I'm going to call you when my car breaks then.
Oh, I just
Oh,
got
it's
so for me, it's not that I hate, I just don't care for in a solo play
Okay.
games that are beat your own score.
I agree.
I do not like games
I
that
agree.
are beat your own score. And a lot of people will be like, well, that's all Euros. No, that's not true. There's a lot of Euro. I like to do something. If I play a Euro, if I play solo, not co-op Euros are amazing, but a solo played Euro, if all I'm doing is playing to beat my own score, I don't care.
Yep.
If I'm playing with a goal in mind, that's fun. Frostpunk's a good example of that. Another one that's a really good example of that is 11. I love 11 is a football slash soccer game, and I love it because they have scenarios like don't get relegated, but it's a score chase, but it's a score chase with a purpose. And so if you're Automa or Automat, or however you pronounce it, if all that does is say, oh yeah, you got 5 this time, next time get 10.
Yeah.
That's from a solo player's vantage point, that is a true mechanism I do not want. I will avoid games.
I agree. And I think there's ways you can do it and make it work. City Skylines we have, where, yes, you're getting points, you're trying to get the most points, but there are levels and like, hey, you did a good job, this is considered a win area. So now I know I have to hit this point value to consider it a win, which helps a little bit. But even better is stuff like Nemo's War.
Nemo's War is exactly what I was
never
thinking
played
of.
it.
Yep, it's honestly you're just getting points. But to me, and the ending it tells you like how well you did. But for me, I don't care how many points I got. I'm just trying to survive to the end. If I survive to the end, I count that as a win. I see how many points I have, then I'm happy.
Yeah. That for me.
You know what? I just learned a new acronym. It's BYOS. The whole time the chat was talking, I'm sitting there going, why do people
beat your own score?
boys?
Yeah.
Why are people liking boys in the chat? Everybody likes boys.
Oh my god!
I thought it was boys. I was like, what? And I'm misreading everything in the chat. Now I know
totally
what
different stream.
Beat Your Own Score stands for. BYOS. I need to learn how to spell. Now I know. Yes, Steam does kind of forgive all as said here.
Yeah. Just keeping score on L3 Lord of the Rings. Yeah, don't do that either.
Yeah, nope. But that right. If we're to get back to close the loop, is that if we're talking about mechanics that we don't like, that is a mechanic I don't like.
I agree with that.
100%.
I agree with that. Which is why you really enjoyed playing against Deadpool and Marvel United, right?
That was I did it so everyone could see, and then I will never do it again.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. I think we're winding up for the chat for today. So thanks everyone.
Yes.
And
thank you all in the chat. You are all amazing. Reading all of your posts and stuff in the chat is super cool. It kind of kept us and kind of didn't keep us on track. So thank you so much for all your hard work in the chat. It was amazing. So this was kind of a chat that wasn't necessarily a downer, because a lot of times talk about good things, but we do enjoy games. Even like we said, if they have mechanics we're not a fan of, we still have a tendency to like to play and try a whole bunch of different games. So don't think just because it has a mechanic we don't like this game at all.
Yep.
There's always room for games, and there's always room for people to play games with. So that's just kind of something I hope people are taking away from this. Even though we talked about all these things we don't like, there's so many things we do like, which maybe is another topic on the another time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And this was suggested by community members. So they asked, hey, can you do this topic? I say, sure we can. So, like I said, if you guys have other requests, put them on the YouTube here or go to our Discord and ping us, and we'll make it happen.
So, Bairnt, what do you got coming up?
Least hero I've ever seen. For once, I think that's true.
You want us to derail? Hold my beer.
I don't know what I got, Steve. I honestly don't. I know I got what do you call it? That Oathsworn game on Monday.
Yep.
And then painting probably on Wednesday. I other than that, I don't think I'm gonna have a lot of time to get much done this week. maybe, if I'm lucky, I might get a chance to try ISO Fairing Guard, but the next 2 weeks are going to be pretty booked up. I'm going to try to get some videos out, but we'll see. I got a lot coming up. And that's the deal.
Steve, what you got?
Well, we're in Gamapalooza mode. So we're going to continue our Marvel United by playing Dark Phoenix after this. Probably be 30 minutes from now, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And we'll do...
Thanks, Dan.
Probably Deep Rock Galactic. We've got Marvel Zombies on the docket. If Valor and Villainy gets here, we might try that as well. So that's a little bit of flux the rest of the day here. So just watch the channel. The event will come out as soon as I can.
Damn, goddamn it.
I know, you love that.
a voice.
I'm sorry for the language. I'm sorry for the language. Oh my gosh.
So good. So good.
So yeah, Game of Palooza
that was
today,
awesome.
And then tomorrow we're gonna do Isaac Guard. So we'll get that back to the channel, and then I'm not sure what's gonna happen after that. So
Okay,
we'll see.
I apologize for that just now.
It's fine.
Why
Okay.
is my screen go gray?
Sounds good. Cool. We'll see everyone at the next stop. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.
All right.